Welcome to Live Without Limits, Unlock Your Potential, the ultimate blueprint to transform and shift your mindset. I'm David Ashinsky, and let me give you a quick quote that I absolutely love. Then I'm going to give you another one because this is by Jim Rohn, and it says, invest in yourself. Your career is a byproduct of your own personal growth. And if you notice what it says on the picture behind me, it says, invest in yourself. And I have used this slide whenever I have done videos, whether it's my podcast or videos for my courses. And there's another quote that I have that's on my computer that says, it is not what happened to me, but it is what I choose to become, by Carl Jung. Because you have control over yourself. The sad part is, as children, our parents try to relive their failures and become successful through their children, especially if they see they have some kind of knack or interest for the field they were in. So, if this resonates so deeply because it reminds us that everything in our lives, our career, relationships, and even our happiness starts with how much we pour into ourselves. I want to start with a personal story. A few years ago, I felt stuck. It seemed like no matter how hard I worked, I wasn't making any progress that I wanted in life. Now, let me tell you, I grew up with a disability at a time when there were no laws that guaranteed people with disabilities the right to an education. My mother looked at my education as just something to keep me busy. But I had goals and I had things that I want to do, and I struggled to get through with my education and to take the road that I have taken. But because of all the struggles I felt, first because I couldn't find gainful employment in my field, to build up a reserve of finances to start my own business, that when I finally started my own business, I didn't have the money to put into it to grow it, and often ended up taking jobs that were low paid, underskilled, just to take care of my basic needs. And so we all need some type of support system, but the support system has to be one that is encouraging and sees you as your own person, not an extension of who they are. So, let me tell you that the turning point for me came when I decided to take small steps. And because my background was in mental health and psychology, plus I took courses in rehabilitation counseling, not because I wanted to be a rehabilitation counselor, but that I wanted to know what the laws were and how they would help benefit me in my goals in life. And it allowed me to use my skills. And because I had a background in psychology, I could go and work with and represent a company that put out assessment profiles. So the first company that I associated with was originally known as Performax, and it was the DISC, which is now owned by Wiley Publishing. and went through different hands to different companies. And I also became associated with Personal Dynamics Institute, which were the full-blown training packages. My company has evolved over the years from being an external consultant to getting into coaching for both life and careers to what it is now that I create my own courses, both in personal development and entrepreneurship, because those are the avenues that I had to learn to deal with. So understanding that and taking courses, because remember, we don't stop learning when we finish our formal education. That continues on forever to the day you die. So, you are the greatest asset. Think about it. Your skills, your mindset, your energy, and well-being are the foundation for everything you do. If you don't invest in yourself, you risk operating on an empty tank, stuck in the same patterns and stories that may no longer serve you. And I had a mother who wanted to keep me in the home with her, not allowing me to become the independent person I was, because she didn't want to be left alone in her old age. And because my personality was to be very outgoing and to be looking for having goals that I wanted to reach, she literally refused to help me. And it didn't care that I was left homeless a few times, but I always knew how to get myself out of being homeless. But it made it more of a struggle than it should have been. So remember something: when you rewrite your story, it begins when you decide to prioritize your growth, your health, and your happiness. It's about stepping back and asking, what do I really want? What do I want to be? And then committing to becoming that version of yourself. The beautiful thing is, no matter whether you're who you are in life, it's never too late to turn the page and start writing a new chapter. So in today's episode, we're going to explore exactly how to do that. We'll talk about the value of self-investment and why it's the foundation for success in every area of your life. How to identify and rewrite the limiting beliefs that keep you stuck in old patterns. Actionable steps that you can take to begin rewriting your story today. Whether it's learning something new, taking care of your well-being, or surrounding yourself with people who uplift and inspire you. By the end of this episode, you'll walk away with the tools and the motivation to start investing in yourself, and the greatest asset in your life, to rewrite your story into one that reflects your true potential. So let's dive in. The importance of investing in yourself. When we talk about investing in ourselves, what do we really mean? Investing in yourself is about intentionally putting time, energy, and resources into your growth and well-being. It could look like this. You're prioritizing your education, reading books, taking courses, or developing a new skill. It might mean committing to self care by focusing on your physical and mental health, like exercising regularly, practicing mindfulness, or seeking therapy when it's needed. It can also be about the energy, choosing to spend time in ways that recharge you and align you with your goals rather than draining you. Ultimately, investing in yourself means recognizing your own worth and making choices that help you grow into the best version of yourself. I can remember as a young child always questioning, why me? Why me? Because when you grow up with a disability and and people are ignorant about what a disability is or how you can get a disability, then what happens? They ostracize you, they tease you, they make you the brunt of the joke. And then if you go home and you don't have a parent who knows how to hug you and love you and show you affection, how does that literally make you feel inside? And you have to learn how to look at that and realize that's their problem, not yours. But the thing is, what happens is if someone's constantly telling you you're worthless, you can't live on your own, you can't think for yourself, you can't hold a job, what happens? You hear it so many times that you literally internalize it and repeat it to yourself so that you begin to believe it. Therefore, what do you have to do? You have to begin to look inside yourself and say, are those things true or not? And when we talk about the secret or the laws of attraction, what it's saying is when you're putting negative energy in, then you're sending negative vibes out and nothing good can happen. But if you literally change those things, that you're beginning to think more positively and you're putting out good positive energy, then that's what's going to come back to you. So here's the thing, when you invest in yourself, every area of your life benefits. In your career, self investment can lead to a new opportunity, learning new skills, networking, or developing confidence and opening doors that you never imagined. And remember this, you'll see children idolize their parents and have an interest in what the parent is doing, whether it maybe that's really where they want to be or not. But if you literally look at what your skills are, what your interests are, then you may not even have an interest in what it is that your parent is doing. So, in your relationships, when you take care of your mental and emotional well being, you show up more authentically. You're better able to set boundaries, communicate effectively, and build stronger connections. For health, self investment helps you to create habits that boost your energy, resilience, and longevity. Think of yourself as the foundation for everything you want to achieve. If that foundation is shaky, if you're not prioritizing your growth or well being, it's hard to build the life you dream of. But when you invest in yourself, you strengthen the foundation, creating stability and room for expansion. Now, in my case, what happened was that I had a lot of negativity around me. I could either accept it as fact or I could rewrite my own story. And I chose early on to rewrite my own story because that was the purpose of me studying psychology, studying mental health, to understand what was happening around me. Because I can tell you that as a child, I literally had low self esteem because I was not accepted. Because in those days, you didn't have the Individual Disability Education Act. So you didn't see people with disabilities in the classroom. And so I was different, and I was the one that was used as the to be picked on. And when you go home and you don't have a family that knows how to show affection and love, then it's very easy to get psychologically damaged. And especially when you're the one that's made the brunt of the problem, even though someone else has found that as long as they were not being accused of anything and they were being the favored child because they were the only one that didn't have a disability and protected from all the things they were doing, well, then you have to learn to have a tougher skin only because you have to learn to protect yourself. And so I know that what happened to me early on also affects the difficulties I've had as an adult in developing relationships. But it's something that I understand, but because of the time that it took to invest in making myself a success, it was also a way for me to get from where I was to where I am today. So let's look at and talk about where people often neglect self investment and what it looks like long term. Time. Many of us get caught up in the day to day grind and tell ourselves, I don't have time to focus on me. But neglecting personal time leads to burnout and a sense of stagnation. Energy. We often pour our energy into others, whether it's work, family, or relationships, without reserving any for ourselves. Over time, this leaves us feeling depleted and resentful. Education and growth. People sometimes stop learning after they graduate or land a job, assuming they've made it. But in a fast changing world, not investing in growth can make us feel stuck and irrelevant. Health. Skipping regular exercise, eating poorly, or neglecting mental health can result in long term issues that impact every aspect of our life. Neglecting these areas doesn't just stall growth, it can lead to frustration, dissatisfaction, and even physical or emotional exhaustion. Back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, many corporations offered the trainer sessions and training for their management level positions. But all of that changed towards the late part of the 20th century and into the 21st century. Therefore, if you want to advance, you need to go on sites where they offer courses on personal development. And this is something that I've been doing and creating probably for the last 5 to 6 to 7 years, and started out with creating my own courses and putting them on Udemy and Skillshare. Yeah. And through those, I had platforms that came to me that offered e-learning courses to specific markets, and they wanted to utilize my courses on their platform to sell them. So that meant they were out there marketing, taking a percentage of the payment. And I started out initially within the first year with 20 courses. Now I've added almost to 100 courses. So as you can see, by spending the time, and yes, it does take away from my being able to go exercise, which is definitely a part of my lifestyle because mobility is so important, and cerebral palsy affects how the body or the control over the body, and therefore by my exercising continuously and putting the effort, I was able to catch myself many a times when I would trip over my own 2 feet. But as I got older, I couldn't catch myself, and then it was a matter, well, then I had to put back on the brace that I was a very young child to be able to control the way I walk, or put a brace on my hand to give so that I would gain a little bit more mobility, even though it's very tight, because no matter how much exercise, the tendons contract. But exercise is very much an important part of my lifestyle, and I have always looked for things to do that would increase my knowledge in education and skills. So understanding just how important these things are, that we need to incorporate them into our daily life. Now, let me share a couple of stories about people who transform their lives by investing in themselves. There's Tony Robbins, one of the most well-known personal development coaches in the world. Early in his life, he was broke, overweight, and unhappy. He decided to invest in himself by attending personal growth seminars, reading extensively on psychology, and developing success strategies for himself. That investment in his own development set him on the path to become the influential figure he is today. Now, let's look at something that's closer to home. Think of someone who decided to go back to school later in life, take up a new hobby, or start focusing on their health. These aren't always big, flashy transformations. They often quiet but powerful choices that lead to a better quality of life. I know that I started exercising when I was 32, and that's because for many years, when I had surgery, they sent me for physical therapy. And physical therapy was just to move blocks. And I really have no control over my hand or my fingers to move blocks, but by going in and working out on the machines and stretching and strengthening, that I have improved my health. And it's whether, and what I've also noticed is a lot of older people, when they retire, start exercising because they're looking to keep up the movement and the mobility that they had when they were younger. And you're seeing a lot more younger people today going out and exercising, whether taking part in team sports, whether it be basketball, baseball, or whatever, tennis, then what you're seeing is that people are beginning to understand that by remaining active, they're going to live a healthier lifestyle. Now, rewriting your story, letting go of the limiting beliefs. And this is so important. Rewriting your story is about taking control of the narrative that you've been telling yourself about who you are, what you're capable of, and what your life can be. We all have a story we live by, a set of beliefs shaped by our experiences, upbringing, and societal influences. For many of us, that story is full of limiting beliefs that keep us stuck. But here's the truth. You are the author of your story. And just like any good writer, you have the power to edit, revise, and completely transform it. Rewriting your story is essential to personal transformative, or rather transformation, because it allows you to break free from old patterns and create a version of your life that reflects your true potential. Let's talk about those limiting beliefs, the ones that whisper, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve success, or it's too late for me. These beliefs act like invisible walls, keeping you from stepping into the life you want. Limiting beliefs often come from past experiences. Maybe you were told you weren't smart enough, or maybe a failure in your life made you believe that you're not capable of achieving more. Over time, these beliefs become part of your dialogue, running in the background like the bad script. As I'm saying, if you've ever, there's a book out by Thomas, and it's called Scripts People Live. And it's that script that you live because that's the script that you were given by a teacher or a parent or even a spouse. Because if they use that negativity as a way of controlling you and you buy into it, what happens? Then you prophesize yourself to be what they're saying. And until you recognize it, you will never rewrite your story. So the first step is to identify those negative things and then say, I'm going to rewrite my story. So here's a start to rewriting your story. Acknowledge the negative narrative. The first step is awareness. Take some time to reflect on the beliefs that are holding you back. Ask yourself, what do I tell myself when I think about pursuing my goals? Are there patterns of self-doubt or fear in my thinking? If you often think, I'm not good at this, stop and question where that belief comes from. Did someone plant that idea in your head? Or is it based on one failure that you've blown out of proportion? What we need to do when we set goals is realize that you're never going to succeed the first time, but take that failure as a learning opportunity rather than taking it as a truth. Replace negative beliefs with empowering thoughts. And this is where we talk about it in the laws of attraction. Once you've identified those limiting beliefs, it's time to challenge and replace them. Instead of saying, I'm not good enough, try, I'm learning and growing every day. This isn't about ignoring challenges, it's about shifting your perspective to focus on the possibility rather than limitation. Positive affirmations can be a great tool here. Write down empowering statements and repeat them daily until they become part of your new story. Reinforce the new narrative through daily practices. Changing your story isn't a one time event, it's a daily commitment. Build habits that align with the person you want to become. Journal about your progress and how you've overcoming old patterns. Surround yourself with people who uplift and inspire you. Take small actions every day that move you closer to your goals. These practices help solidify your new narrative and keep you focused on growth. The amazing thing about rewriting your story is how quickly a mindset shift can change your trajectory. When you stop seeing yourself as someone who's stuck and start seeing yourself as someone with the power to grow, the possibilities open up. Think about it. The world doesn't change overnight, but your perspective can. And when your mindset shifts, so does the energy you bring to your goals, relationships, and everyday life. Suddenly, thinking that once felt impossible seem within reach because you believe they are. Rewriting your story starts with letting go of the limiting beliefs and choosing to see yourself in a new light. It's not about denying your past. It's about learning from it and deciding that it doesn't define your future. Now, we'll dive into practical ways to invest in yourself so that you can continue to write the story you've always dreamed of. Stay with me. Let's start with education and skill building. Investing in yourself often begins with expanding your knowledge and capabilities. This should mean enrolling in courses, attending workshops, or even just picking up a book that aligns with your goals. If you've always dreamed of starting a business, you might take a class on entrepreneurship or read books by successful founders. If you want to improve your communication skills, joining a public speaking group like Toastmasters can be a game changer. The idea is to consistently add tools to your toolbox. Every skill that you learn, every new piece of knowledge that you acquire becomes a stepping stone towards your bigger vision. Remember, personal growth isn't just about what you achieve, it's about who you become in the process. Let's talk about self care and wellness. This is a foundation piece of investing in yourself because you can't Pour from an empty cup. Prioritizing your mental, emotional, and physical health isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. For your mental well being, therapy can be an incredible investment. It helps you process past experiences, manage stress. For your emotional health, practices like mindfulness or journaling can help you stay grounded and present, even when life gets hectic. And if your physical health, exercise is key, whether it's a daily walk, yoga, or strength training. Staying active boosts your energy and helps you show up as your best self. When you prioritize self care, you're not only taking care of yourself, you're building the resilience and clarity needed to tackle your goals. Another critical way to invest in yourself is by building a strong support system. Who that you surround yourself with matters a lot. Seek out positive, inspiring people who encourage your growth and celebrate your successes. This might mean strengthening relationships with supportive friends or family members, or it could mean finding mentors and joining communities that align with your goals. If you're an aspiring writer, join a writing group where you can share ideas and get constructive feedback. If you're working on personal development, consider attending workshops or networking events where you can connect with like minded individuals. The key to surround yourself with people who not only uplift you, but also challenge you to step outside your comfort zone. Their energy and encouragement will help you keep you motivated. Lastly, let's talk about the importance of taking action. Setting goals is great, but progress only happens when you take those first steps. Here's how to make it manageable. Break your big goals down into small, actionable steps. Your goal is to write a book. Start by committing to writing 500 words a day. Stay consistent. Consistency builds momentum, and momentum leads to results. Even small actions, when done regularly, can create significant progress over time. Celebrate your wins, big or small, each milestone, whether it's completing a chapter of that book or attending your first networking event, is proof that you're moving forward. Taking action isn't about doing everything at once, it's about taking intentional, steady steps instead of goals. Over time, those small actions compound into big changes. Now, this is a story I think I've mentioned before, but it's a story that I think needs to be repeated here. There's a farmer that took his grandson out to plant the crops. The grandson got there and looked and says, I can't do it. It's too long. What did the grandfather say? Turn around, put your back to the end goal, and then start planning. And then you can see how much you've accomplished and finished by the time you get to the end of the row. So if it's too daunting for you, think about that story and think about why we say taking long-term goals and breaking them down into smaller actions and daily actions help you begin to feel the success that you should have along the way. So investing in yourself isn't a one-time event. It's a lifelong journey by focusing on education and skill building, prioritizing self-care, surrounding yourself with supportive people, and taking actionable steps towards your goals. You're not just rewriting your story, you're creating a life that reflects your fullest potential. In the, Now, let's take a look at and recap what we've talked about today. Whether it's through education, self care, or building connections, pouring yourself lays the foundation for growth in every area of your life. Rewriting your story requires letting go of limiting beliefs and creating an empowering narrative. You have the power to challenge old patterns, redefine who you are, and take control of your future. Small, intentional actions lead to long term transformation. It's not about overhauling your life overnight. It's about taking steady, meaningful steps that compound into big results over time. So, my challenge for you today is this: take one small step to invest in yourself, and that means learning something new, signing up for a course, reading a book, or listening to a podcast that inspires you. Or maybe it's as simple as writing down one limiting belief that you're ready to let go of and replacing it with a positive, empowering thought. I'd love to hear how you're investing in yourself or rewriting your story. Share your journey or a moment of insight from today's episode on social media and tag me. I'd love to celebrate your progress with you and inspire others to do the same. So, the last thing we're going to do is cover some key interpretation: empowerment over victimhood. Young's words remind us that we are not victims of our past and experiences. While our past may influence us, it doesn't have to limit us. We have the ability to rise above the challenges and define ourselves by our actions and aspirations, not by what happened to us. Remember, I said this at the very beginning. It's not what happened to me, it's what I choose to become. The role of free will and personal growth. The quote highlights the idea that the personal growth and transformative outcome from intentional decisions, regardless of what life has thrown at us. We can choose to heal, evolve, and become the person we aspire to be. Focus on becoming young, lit, shifts the focus from dwelling on the past to looking towards the future. It's not about staying stuck in the old narratives, about creating a new one, choosing to grow, learn, and align with your higher potential. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to rise above the things that we cannot change and take control of what we can, our mindset, our choices, and ultimately our future. And remember, it's up to you to take control of your life and decide what it is that you think it should be.